Acting up downstairs. Hi everyone, trying again. Trying again, guys. We are back. Tea time with Dr. IYABO. The Wi-Fi is not cooperating today, so we need to pray that it starts to work. This is such an important conversation. Yeah. Let's pray that it starts to work. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Let's pray that it works. Let's pray that it works. Okay. I'm just typing this and then I'll pin it. Okay. So, all right. Let us pray that this works now. I complete my position. I came up from the basement. Because I'm like, I don't even know. Maybe it's from my end. Who knows? It's possible that it's from my end.
Okay, I go often, and I know, especially when the message is important, that's when all this stuff starts to happen.
I know. So it means that somebody really needs to hear this message today. That's why. Yeah. And they don't know that both Lori and IYABO are very persistent people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're persistent people because the message is so important. So yes, we had talked about authenticity. We had talked about what success means. And then I was saying that there are 3 things that I tell women that are important for success. So for you, aside from authenticity, what else is important for success?
What else is important for success is definitely just knowing your value, knowing your own worth. And I think that's the biggest mistake a lot of women make. They jump into this industry thinking, okay, they're going to make me pretty, or if they like me, I'm going to be accepted, or if I get this job, I'm going to be this big thing, or if I get that campaign, then I'm a no. You have to already know that within yourself. Now, the big misconception in that is a lot of women or a lot of people mistake cockiness for confidence.
Yes.
Repeat that.
That is so true.
Cockiness, I'm cocky. I walk around with my chest out and I'm so big and I'm so great. For confident, and it's not. Confidence is silent. Why is it silent? Because it's for you. It's not meant to be thrown out to everybody so everybody can indulge off of your confidence. Your confidence is for you. It's a well within yourself that you are drawing from to stand up in the midst of any adversity, any challenges, any situation, to tell yourself, I belong here. I like what Devon Franklin, I listened to Devon Franklin and I love what he says. And I had to tell myself this many times, but he says, if God puts you in the room, any room, you belong there. And times have we gotten in situations or places where we would get in there and we're like, I'm not qualified for this. I don't belong here. If God in that room, if you are in that room, I don't care how you got there. If you are in that room, you are supposed to be there. So that is a massive thing. You have to know your own worth going into any position, any job, any set. You have to know your own worth first. Don't wait for people to tell you you're valuable. Don't wait. It's called self-esteem. That is yourself telling yourself, I'm worthy of this. I belong here. I strongly, and it's not easy. It's not easy. I'm not going to sit here like, well, I've got it all figured out. No, I'm not. I trust me. I've struggled with this myself. And that's why I can tell, because I've been there. And even now, everyone's like, well, you've been modeling for years. I still get scared. I still get nervous. Oh, you've been on TV. You've been on this show. You've been in that. I still get nervous, It's not a cockiness. It's still a confidence, but it's still, you have to assure yourself at some point, So you have to have that sense of where you have to tell yourself, I'm worthy. You have to have that sense of worthiness first. Don't wait for society, a husband, a wife, if there are gentlemen. I tell you that. Tell yourself. The rest will follow. The rest will follow. You embrace you, they will embrace you too. You too. If they don't, supposed to be there anyway.
Yes. Oh my goodness, you are amazing. You see, it sounds like I'm talking to myself. These are the things that I say, and this is why we connect. This is why we've never met in person. Yeah, this is why we've never met in person, but we get each other, right? We get each other because we believe the same things. We believe the
Yes.
same things because
Yes.
life is so simple, ladies. Life is so simple, but we complicate it. I'm not sure why. If everybody could just think simply and just, simplify life, you are worthy. And people say they're Christian or they're Muslim or they have a religion, and people are very, they believe strongly in their faith. But the missing link for me is, how can you say you believe strongly in your faith, but you don't believe strongly in who you are? You don't believe strongly in who you are and who God has created you to be. Lori, like you said, self-esteem. You esteem yourself to where you want to put yourself with humility, right? Like you said, not with cockiness, not with arrogance, with humility that I'm God's child. So who says I can't do this? This is what I've used in my own life all the time. When I got to Atlanta and people were like, you can't start a practice or you can't do this. Black people don't this, black people. I'm like, you know what? I'm a black woman. Yes, I'm proud to be black. But you know what I am first? I'm God's child first. So I say, people listen to all the noise too much. Let the noise go and just claim who you are as God's child. So self-esteem, guys. I've brought somebody else on who's saying it even better than I do, right? Cockiness, okay? Cockiness is not allowed, but confidence is needed. And self-esteem is needed. So something else, what else, Lori? So we've talked about being authentic, being yourself. Now you've brought up being, knowing your value, knowing your self-esteem. What else is important for success?
Well, we said authentic, we said saying worthy. Basically just stick to your guns, don't let the industry or people, a lot of times people feel like this way they're not going to like me in for the work. I'm not normally going to take this type of character, so I really want to make it big. No, stay true to that. Like, I've had to turn down jobs that went against my morals. They went against who I was as a human being. I mean, they were paying amazing. It paid great. The jobs paid great. It would have been a great opportunity. I would have been, a major success. But the character itself went against the morals. Stick to that. Stick to that. There's a way. How do I look at it? I look at it as abandoning yourself when you do that to make someone else happy. So you abandon your own, rules. You abandon your own way of looking at life and doing things to make someone else happy. You're abandoning yourself in doing it. Don't allow the industry or whatever business you're in to do that. If it's no, if you're against what they're trying to get you to do or someone's trying to get you to do, absolutely not. And you know what? It's okay to say no. Set those boundaries. Tell people absolutely no. I'm sorry. I don't do. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play that part. In my case, I'm going to play that part. I'm not that outfit. I'm not going to, be this way, for you to make you happy. So stick to your guns. Stick to who you are. I mean, the whole conversation really ties into itself. It's all basically saying the same thing, but in a different format and different way. And in this way, what I'm saying is, don't compromise. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you.
Compromise.
Compromise who you are for what you do. Don't compromise that.
That's amazing. Yes. So don't compromise, have boundaries, and stick to your boundaries. Because having boundaries is one thing. People will say they have boundaries, but the boundaries are flexible. Have boundaries and politely just say, no, I said no before. It's still no. It's still no, because they'll come back and try you and say, are you sure? You don't want this $1 million contract, or you don't want that $500,000 contract. And you'll say, you know what? No, I don't, because it doesn't align with my values. So have boundaries and stick to them. Lori, you said something earlier, which I want you to expand on to help women. You said that self-esteem, self-esteem, self-worth, but you did say that it's not easy. You said it's not easy, and you're still on that self-esteem journey. Many women struggle with self-esteem, whether they admit it or not. I know that many women struggle with self-esteem. So how do you get there? How do you get that self-esteem? Because a lot of women don't have it, and that's why they don't have boundaries, because you can't have boundaries if your self-esteem is low.
I think one of the biggest problems is we may have high self-esteem in one area of our lives, and then not even think about other areas of our lives. So because in this area, I have all the self-esteem in the world, I'd never do that. I'd never have to worry about that. We think we're okay. And we don't look at the entire rest, the entire spectrum of our lives. So yeah, I have self-esteem here as far as, maybe the way I look or the way I dress, but I have no self-esteem in dating. But because I'm confident over here with the way I look and the way I am, then I assume that it just carries over into everything else, and it doesn't. So you have to be sure that you keep, and that's what I mean by I'm working on myself. Yes, I have self-esteem in certain areas, but I still have certain areas that are going to need some work. And that's something to keep in the forefront. But just make sure that you're keeping yourself, you're paying attention to who you are and how you are in area of your life. How do you relate to people? How does this make you feel? What are the areas you need to improve on? So that's something that I'm definitely working on in my own. But in certain areas, like in terms of my posting or just the way you see me on social media, that's not a problem for me. Dealing with, like you said, you didn't know I was dealing with a circumstance with my son had cancer. That's something you didn't know about. The general public knew nothing about. Yes, on one end, I look extremely successful, like everything I have all together. And then on the other side, fighting this massive battle. It's the same way with your self-esteem. You may project well in this area, but in another area, you're struggling. Focus on those areas that you don't have that strength. Those strengths, focus on that, hone in on it, find out, what is it about me? Where did this come from? Is it something that came from childhood? Was it a bad breakup? Was it something that I didn't deal with somewhere in my life? Now I need to fix this. It all needs to tie line with everything else. It needs to catch up with everything else in my life that is up to par, that is, that is, it's going to be a constant journey the rest of your life. It is going to be a journey, I believe, because we're never going to be the same person. We're not standing still. We are human beings. We are being something at all stages of our lives. That means we're constantly growing. Oh, happy birthday today. As you were saying, for your birthday, you said in your 50s, you want to be, well, that means you are going to now elevate into a whole new person of yourself, a whole new, aspect of yourself.
Yeah.
That's going to require something different of you.
Yes.
And that's what I'm constantly growing. So who I was even a year ago is totally different than the person today, which is going to require a different level of esteem. Who I am today, what I'm dealing with today, what I'm focusing on, what I'm today, is going to require a level of lore today. And you will always do that. To the listeners, you will always need to aspire to who are you today? Where are you going now? And don't keep it based on who you used to be and how you used to do it. That's a good level. That's a good way to keep self-esteem in check and keep yourself balanced. We're all, no one, I have it all together. No one can do that. We can't, because we can't. But
we're always evolving.
Yes.
Yeah, we're always evolving and improving. I love how you answered this question, Lori. You put it into buckets. You're like, you could have high self-esteem in some parts of your life, and not have high self-esteem in some parts. I'm a perfect example. Before I came onto social media, I thought I was a very confident person. My practice was doing really well. But then I launched my book, and the publicist and coach I had told me that I had to learn public speaking. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm too shy. I'm scared of public speaking. I can't. And she's like, how do you want to market your book? She said, you're an author. As she said, most authors are introverts in a way, but they do have to learn how to speak publicly. I had to do it. I had to do it. We would go out every day and practice inside the house, at restaurants, outside the house. When I look at my past videos, I look like a robot. I'm like, hello, yeah, this is Dr. IYABO, and this is, but I had to keep on doing it. So people see me now and they message me every day like, Dr. IYABO, how do you look so comfortable on camera? I'm like, because I practiced.
Yes.
I'm like, because I've been practicing for 4 years. Even my friends see me and they're like, is that the same IYABO we've known who was terrified of speaking anywhere? But I had to do it because I had to do it, and now I love it. I didn't know that part of me existed. Look at me now interviewing people, and I was terrified of public speaking. So you just have to do it. And it brings me to something else I've been posting lately, and I want your opinion on it. And we're not ignoring your questions, guys. I see all your questions, but I want to get this out. I've been posting about there are many women who, when I talk to them about my coaching, they say that I'm still working on myself. I'm doing some inner work. I'm working on myself. I want to do that for some time, and then I'll do this. And I used to believe that, but I've had some time to introspect about that. And this is why I've started posting about what I've been posting about in the last few days, that women, life doesn't happen in clumps. You know, I understand when you do need to take time off. Don't get me wrong, I understand it. But some women do get into that pattern where they feel like they have to do the spiritual work and then come back and, you know, focus on their business or their work, and then come back and focus on this. And I'm like, that's why you haven't been able to achieve anything. This is why you're not happy with your life, because life is going to hit you from different directions, and you have to practice doing the work together. I do my inner work at the same time that I'm being a wife and a mother and a business owner and this, and taking time for myself. I believe that's the reason for my success. But I want you to comment on that, because many women do that, and I'm not sure that it's very good for success, or you know, I don't know that that works in real practical life. So tell me what you think. If you're there, are you there?
I agree.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Yes.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
100%. A lot of people, of course, look at my life and they're just like, oh, you got it all together and you're so perfect and everything is good and you're on TV and you're a model and you're blah, 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 blah. And you have you have no idea the fight that I go through, that I've gone through for the past 10 years. You have no idea that I go through on a constant basis. And the thing is of it all, especially in the middle of my son's cancer, we've been fighting cancer for the past 5 years.
Wow.
We've experienced homelessness. We've experienced, you know, poverty, experienced lack, and it never stopped. It never stopped me. It never. Now, I'm not saying fake it till you make it, although some people believe in that. And if that works for you, hey, do it, boo boo. You know, I am saying keep going. Yeah. Saying keep going. Keep going. The circumstances will not always be perfect. The finances won't come in line. The situation won't always be, you know, just do it, even though the fire's going off in the kitchen and this is burning over here and you're putting out fires in all these places. Yeah. Yeah. Still got to put it all well. Still got to show up and do that job and present yourself and go after that dream. You still have to do it. Because if not, just like you said, perfect example of how you said it, your life, you'll be miserable because you're trying to, okay, I'm going to focus on this issue right now. And no, it's that way. Go do life, because it's life. and life is going to throw
Yeah.
everything at you know what? Life is a video game. Life is like these video games that we have. And if you ever look at the characters, they're
Yes.
trying to get going, and this is trying to numb down, and this is coming, and this is flying over here, and that, you know, and it's a lot going on. If we're honest with
Yes.
it, that's life.
Yeah.
That's life.
Yeah.
So if that character in that video, I never thought I'd be using this, not a video game girl, but if that character in that video game just stands there the whole game like this, you know, it's not going to get anywhere. Well, it's the same thing for you.
Yeah.
If you stand there and you wait for all the perfect circumstances to come, you're never, you're never going to.
No.
You have to do it unknowing. You have to do it unaware. You have to do it regardless. You have to do it even though you're tired. You have to do it even though you're angry, whatever. You have to keep going because you'll never get there. Circumstances are meant to come to block you, to stop you. And if you let them, that's exactly where you're going to stop. That's exactly as far as you're going to. That's exactly what you're going to do. If I ever told you, you would be like, how are you still sane? How are you still, you know, down? Well, everything has come against me to knock me off of my platform or off of my block to get to where I'm going. But I had to keep going. And that's what I'm encouraging you. I certainly don't mean, I'm encouraging you. Keep going. Even if you have nothing in your bank account. Okay, what can you do until you put money into that bank account? Even though you don't have the husband right now and you thought by now you would have been with the kids. Okay, they come right now. You know, they didn't promote me on this job, whatever. Okay, fine. What can you do besides that until somebody sees it, or can you get another job? What is it that you can do now? Do it.
This is honestly, women, if there's one advice that Lori and I have said on this show till now, this is the advice that I want you guys to know. Life doesn't happen in clumps, okay? You're not going to do the spiritual. Yes, sometimes you need a holiday, but some women have gotten used to that mindset where they feel like they're going to do the spiritual work and then they'll come and start working on their dreams. Oh, really? As soon as you start working on those dreams, the devil or whatever, or negative energy is going to say, oh, there she comes. She thinks she's spiritually ready now. Boom. Another life thing happens. Then what are you going to do? You're going to stop again and say, I'll be right back, devil. I need to go and take some more spiritual time off. Then I'll be back. So women, there's a lot of you who have this mindset. There's a lot of you who have this mindset where you think you're going to do the inner work is really important. Don't get me wrong, but you do the inner work while you're also doing the outer work to God's glory. Okay? You do them together. You want to start a business and you feel like you're not ready, start that business. Just start it. When I started my business, was I ready? No, I was 33 years old. I was bold and brave, and I'm just like, I want this business. I will learn as I go. I was praying, I was fasting, I was crying, I was laughing, I was doing all of it together. My sister was suffering from cancer at the time. I used to drive her back and forth to Emory Hospital. My sister was diagnosed with cancer 2 years after I started my practice, and she spent most of her time in Atlanta. I would drive her to get her chemo, then I would drive to work, and at lunchtime I would go and pick her, bring her home, then go back to my office. I don't understand you guys. I don't understand women. I'm sorry, this is me being real. This is how I talk. A lot of you say that. I'm going to go and do the inner work, then I'll come back and meet my goals. As soon as you want to start your goals, there comes life happening again. So are you going to keep on taking breaks to do the inner work? You can't keep on taking breaks to do the inner work. It's like saying, I'm going to take 6 months off to do the inner work to prepare me for exercise. Then I'll come back and start working out every day. you know, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like, you know what, I'm not yet ready for exercise. I need to get my mind ready for exercise. So I'm going to go and take some spiritual work to get me ready. Then I'll come and start working out. Guys, change your mindsets. We're going to go into questions now. So Lori, the first question is, Let me see. How do you? Who is this? How has? What is the best way to relate to someone without knowing their past struggles?
Okay. Well, technically, we don't know anyone's past struggles. We only know what people tell us. We only know what people show us. And then we only know what we basically kind of surmise about those people. Um, I guess my question back in return, why would we need to know in terms of like, are you trying to date this person? Are you trying to go in business with this person? One of the biggest things I can always say is pay attention to their character. You know, people lie, but character doesn't. People can people can present something, but their character is always going to tell it. Always.
Yeah.
So don't listen to words as much, but pay attention to actions. You know, actions speak louder than words. Those are not just words. That's actually a life lesson. That's like a life, you know, thing to hold on to. Pay attention to the action of the person. Are they, when they say they're going to do something, are they doing it? If they tell you this, did they do what they said they were going to do? Are they who they're saying they say that they are? Are they saying what they're going to do? So pay attention. That's the biggest thing. I hope that answers your question, but pay attention. That's
Okay.
don't listen. I mean, hear them, but don't focus everything on listening to them. Pay attention to them. Watch what they do, because character will always speak. It will always speak.
That is true. And then Dr. Ufot says, how do you address being called difficult when staying true to yourself? That's a good question.
That is an amazing question. You will be called difficult because you are standing your ground, you are setting back. So what I've learned about people who call, or what I've learned about being called difficult, means you're a leader. That means you're a leader, because a leader is not going to follow the crowd. A leader is going to what? They're going to lead, which means you're up ahead. That means you're seeing all the junk first. You're moving out all the mess first for everybody else, and then once they kind of figure it out, oh, well, so you're just going to have to overlook it, bypass it, keep going. You know, that doesn't mean be difficult, because there is a difference in being called difficult and actually being difficult. So do not become difficult, but just keep going, keep moving forward. That is actually, in a sense, it's kind of a compliment. That means you are a leader. So you lead, you follow what God told you to do. That's a big one. Follow what God told you to do. I'm sorry, everybody's not agree or understand why, because God didn't tell them. God told you. So you do what God told you to do, and that's lead.
I love that. And Dr. Ufot, I've been called difficult most of my life. And when I hear it now, you too, it just shows that you're a leader. I laugh about it. I'm chuckling because I've been called difficult by many people all through my life. Even my mom used to tell me, she's like, IYABO, you're so stubborn. She would tell me, she's like, you're so stubborn. And then my dad would laugh and say, but that's why she gets all A's. And that's why she's a good student. And that she's like, but that's just how it happens. For me, it's called don't be a part of the pack. I say this all the time. I don't belong to any pack. I think for myself, and people don't like this. And if I post something that people don't like, as long as they dialogue with me politely, I'm fine with it. But if people want to tell me I'm difficult in a rude way, I block them. I've blocked many people on Instagram. I have, because I don't mind having a dialogue if we talk, if we have different viewpoints. But if you're going to address me in a way and say I'm problematic, a lot of people like to say that now you're problematic. I'm problematic because I'm saying the truth. So and that's part of self-esteem, Dr. Ufot. That's part of self-esteem, self-awareness, and self-confidence. Once you know who you are, you will just have to ignore them, because if you're not part of their group and part of their pack and part of the way they think, they're going to call you difficult. And like Lori said, it means you're a leader. If you're starting to hear people tell you you're difficult, it means you're a leader and you actually think for yourself and you don't think like them. So I think that's all the questions. Do you have any other comments about that, Lori? Because that was a really good question.
amazing question. I also,
Yeah.
I also consider the source, you know. And one thing that I always tell models, people in the industry, I always tell them, you know, don't listen to the naysayers. Do not. Yeah, people don't know
you're
you.
going in and out, but it's good. Yeah.
These people don't know you know, so don't listen to the naysayers. Don't these people, these voices around you, you know, they may mean well, they may love you, they may do, but at the end of the day, it is just their opinion. Why? Because they're not you.
Yeah.
And they're going in the direction you're going. God did not give them your assignment. God gave that to you. So at the end of the day, when we stand before God, when we stand before God, God's not going to say, well, what did such and such do with their, well, that's not for you. God's going to say, what did you do with the gifts I gave you? What did you do with the
Yes.
life, the husband, the wife, the circumstances
Yeah.
that I gave you? What did you do with it?
Yes.
We have to answer for what we. So, and when people start coming with their opinion, remember it as just that. If I had listened concerning my career, they would have told me I'm old. Well, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. They told me I was too old. They told me, you know, you can't do this. You got to be more like this. If I had listened to half of these people, you know, with anything that they had told me, I wouldn't be anywhere right now. I wouldn't have gone as far as I've gone. Every decision, everything you see right now, perceive about me right now is based on me being a leader and just going right past people who said the exact same thing that this question was asked. They told me, you know, I was too ambitious. Oh, God, I've heard that. You're too ambitious. You know,
Yes.
you're
That's me. Yeah. Yeah.
overzealous. You know, kinds of stuff.
Yes.
All I know how to be
Yes.
is me.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing
Yeah.
you can give the world. All you can give anybody is who you are.
Yes.
Is who
Yeah.
you are.
And one thing I do want to say, Dr. Ufot, about this is that be careful that the people who are actually telling you that are usually people you look up to.
Yeah.
They're usually people that you look up to and people that you think should be on your side. So you tend to want to believe them. Let me make it clear to you. Most of the women, when I post something, that tell me I'm difficult, or they DM me and they're like, you're problematic, what you're posting is problematic. They're Black women.
Yes.
They're Black women. It's not, people
Yes.
are going to think, oh, maybe it's racism, it's white women posting that. No, they're actually Black women. A lot of them are African women who, just because I don't think like them, they're telling me I'm problematic. So that's where you have to be careful, because you don't belong to their big group, because they can see that I talk for myself, I think for myself. So I'm just pointing this out. Black and brown women, be careful, because most of the time it's going to be Black women like you that are telling you you're being difficult. Let me just put that out there. So just have a mind of your own. We're going to go into creativity now. I want to be respectful of your time, Lori. Since we had all that going on, how much time do you have? You're good?
I can give you some time, yeah.
Okay, so I want to go into creativity now. Ever since I've been able to discover my creativity, I've been the happiest person on earth. Of course, I started off with being into science and being a doctor and all of that. But ever since I've been writing and blogging and speaking and doing all of this, I don't think I've had a bad day. Honestly, I don't think I've had a bad day. I'm just always so happy and so peaceful and so fulfilled. So for me, this is the joy of creativity, and I want it for everybody. So I looked up the meaning of creativity in Oxford Dictionary, and it says creativity is the use of the imagination or the use of original ideas, especially in the production of artistic work. And I love that middle part where it says the use of original ideas. So what is, because somebody said, so what is the art and what are the rewards of creativity? And that's the topic of the day. So do you want to talk about that now?
Sure. I think the odds are exactly what we've been speaking about. When people try to block your creativity or you don't have the ability to create, I think the reward of creativity is this gift was given to you by God. That the Lord gave you. And it doesn't have to be
Yes.
expressing that gift God gave you, then that is a blessing from the Lord coming through you. That is something He gave you. And that's why you have joy in it, because it's your everything, who you are is being its authentic self.
Yes.
It is literally being its authentic self. And when you have that ability to express that, yourself, everything about it, in its happiness state, it is happy about that. The Lord is happy about that because He gave you that gift and that ability to do it. So that is the rewards of it. You are getting the chance to be in connection with who exactly you are. And even more of a reward is that creativity can pass down. It's a legacy, and it passes down to your children's children. You know, your grandchildren will begin to identify who they are because they'll see you did it. They'll see that they had this talent too. Well, that explains why I love this so much. So it's a legacy effect, you know, it's passing down. I always recommend as much as possible. Try to learn everything you can about yourself. You know, everyone thinks, oh, I can only do this, I can do that. No, try painting, try, you know, dancing, try whatever. You never know. There may be some hidden talents in there that you don't even know. And once you discover it, it's like a rebirth. It's like oh my, you know who I am?
Yes.
I love it. I didn't even know. How many times have you heard that? I didn't know I could, you know, I never knew, you know. Why? They didn't try, but they were happy. Have you noticed that? They were happy when they found out, like, oh, why? Because a part of it has awakened. A gift that the Lord gave them into fruition is awakened. And it's basically now like, here, go enjoy this part of you. Go enjoy that part of you. It's a reward. It's a legacy.
Yes, and I call it purpose work and non-purpose work. So how do we put all this together, Lori, to help people? Because there are people who would have started with maybe an engineering career, and then they discover they're painters or they're writers or they're actresses and they're happier. So can that start sooner? Is that because, you know, I don't want to be the person who says that formal education is not worth it. It's very important, but a lot of the time people don't get their formal education in what their real creative talents are. For me, again, I loved being a doctor, but I believe that the part of the doctor that I like is the teaching aspect. I don't particularly like the going from exam room to exam room and seeing patients. I'm a teacher and a healer, but I think that's why I started with medicine. But I love the teaching part more, and through the teaching, I heal. So that's the part of me I've discovered. So how can we help women then who are in a career that they don't like, that they hate, but it's paying their bills every day, but they know that cooking is their real creative talent and they're scared of leaving that job because how will they pay their bills? How can we help women with that? How do they do it? Yeah.
I say do both. I say, of course, never give up what's paying your bills, what's taking care of your family. Never give that up. But in the course of that, take time, purposely take time for what you love, because that's sustaining you to deal with something you don't. While you have to do it. Sometimes you do what you have to do, you know, in order to get to where you need to be. So while you're in a position that you may not particularly love, make time for those things that you do love. If it's cooking, if it's, you know, painting or something, make time for that. And in doing that, set it up to where you can make it as a passive income, as a sort of as a way to just kind of generate something for you. Some people say, oh, I just do this as a hobby. Well, you can also make it as a passive income hobby.
God bless you for that. Can you say that again, Lori? Can you say that? No, because, you know, I'm tired. My throat hurts from having to say that over and over to women. Like, yes, there are people who are chefs and they're millionaires and they're successful. There are people who are photographers and they're millionaires. It's not, I know this is what society has said. Everybody has to be a doctor or lawyer or engineer. But what if you hate your doctor job?
Yes.
What would you, are you going to be miserable for the rest of your life? So say that again, that you can get income. Say that again.
Do not negate yourself, because there's a part of you that creative side. So as you're doing the things to take care of yourself, do not cut off your income. I'm not saying that, don't, oh, I just quit. And some people do that and it works, but sometimes it doesn't. Stay in your job until you can, transition out. But a lot of times those people are like, oh, I have this hobby that I do and it's just for fun. Well, you can also make that an income. Your average millionaire has multiple streams of income, passive and aggressive income.
Yes.
Passive and so, and what are they doing? They're simply working what they know how to do. They're working their gifts and their talents.
Yeah.
And they're making it work for them. So do the same. And that's what you do. You have your job. Yes, you do your job. But at the same time, if cooking is your passion or something else is your passion, you can also do that and then put it on, maybe a website to sell it where you have an income coming in.
Yes.
It will grow. It will increase, and hopefully get you to a place where it's sustainable, to where you can kind of let go of one thing and move on to something better, more lucrative, but it's also what you love somewhere. So don't negate yourself. But what I believe, when it's your creativity, that's who you really are. That's your authentic self.
Yes.
Negate that. Don't negate that aspect of yourself. Don't negate that. Keep that person.
Yeah. And that's where
that
your
part
happiness
of you very
will come
much
from.
Alive, very much fun.
Yeah.
Make room, make time.
Yeah.
Money off.
Yeah, you'll make money off of it and your happiness will come. Jacqueline here says she's a registered nurse, but she's passionate about floral and events design. So Jacqueline, it's the same thing Lori is saying. Lori, do you want to comment on that? Jacqueline is a nurse, but she's passionate about, there are many floral and events designers who make millions. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a degree. I have a certificate in floral design. I have a degree, a certificate from my high school. I went to a boarding school and they gave us like degrees. They gave us like certificates and everything. So I'm a certified floralist. Like I have agriculture and floral design. People don't even know that about me. And what I did on the side was every, what was it called? I don't think the kids do it as much anymore, but the proms, the proms, I would make the boot and the corsages for the girls. Mm-hmm. I would make churches. I would make floral arrangements for the churches. Or if they had something and it was kind of a mess, I'd redo it for them, and they would pay me that way. And it started from there, and it just kind of kept falling. So if that is your heart, if that is your passion, find a way, make room for yourself to do that as well, because that's where your true authentic self is. But you keep your income, of course, you make your money, but purposely make room for yourself. And I'm purposely calling it yourself because that's your authentic self. Yes, it's what you love, but it's who you really are. So make room for yourself to be able to create, because it's actually life-saving. It helps you, but also find a way to generate some income off of that, because I guarantee you it will be lucrative. It will.
Yes. Jacqueline, I hope you heard that. And what about, so this is Alexandria FW Style here. She's one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. She owns a leather company where she sells bags and all that. And I have all her bags, and I'm telling you, the quality is comparable to all the other name brands out there. Her bags are fantastic. And she's telling us she left her corporate job. Oh, no, she let her corporate job fund her passion, which is the bag designing, until she could finally quit. So guys, that's what you do. You have to do both together. Like Lori said, let one fund the other one, and then strategically you quit when the other one is making money, but don't abandon your creativity because of money. Because if you continue doing that RN job, which you may not really enjoy, your real fulfillment is never going to come out. Okay, so now, Lori, what about women? Because Jacqueline is probably going to say, how is she going to make this floral business come alive? How is she going to launch it? That's the missing link for most people. They have this creativity. They don't know how to launch it into a business. They don't know how to sell it to help it make a profit. And then you say, hire a business coach like me, and they tell you, well, I don't have money to hire you. So then they go back to the job they hate, and they just stick with it and keep doing it. So how, and with this, I want you to tell us about your journey as much as possible. How were you able to transition from modeling into acting, and then now writing a book, because those are three big creative skills: modeling, acting, writing a book. So just link it all together. What kind of help did you get on the way? How did you get it all done?
Well, for me, I walked by faith a lot. And I know that's not a popular to tell people. It's not popular, but it's literally all that I had, because a lot of
Yeah.
this was coming left and right. So I got my start as a professional. I got my start as a beauty queen. I won a beauty contest, and from there, I pushed into some agencies. I worked in an agency, through agencies, so I was doing commercials and some little things here and there, and then kind of joined into. But I knew I had to have an income. I knew I couldn't have the hit or miss income that the industry has a tendency to be. So my thought was, what do I do that I love that will keep me working consistently? And that's where QVC, HSN, Home Shopping Network came into play. So that was my consistent job as a professional model. So I was able to live my dream as a professional model in a consistent way, which was a steady 9 to 5, so to say. But on top of that, in between those jobs, what I would do was other odd and end, modeling, acting jobs. So I would still do commercials here and there, other modeling jobs. I would do a lot of runway, a lot of different type of stuff. So I was basically working what I had. In the course of my modeling career, actually 8 years ago, I wrote a book. I wrote a children's book. Now, at that time, everything was kind of falling apart in my life. Things were really hard, really tough. It was around the time that my son popped up with cancer. So I basically, had to kind of shelf it, but I started it. At that same time, I started a clothing line. It's called T-Boy Chic. Tomboy. I started my clothing line. It was based on me as a professional model, which I am very tomboy, but I'm also very, female. And I put this clothing together, same thing. I had to put it on hold, but I started it. So, and I'm giving a precious gem right there. Sometimes we start things. Sometimes we can start a project, but it's not the right timing to do it. But that doesn't mean start. Doesn't mean don't start. That doesn't mean that don't get it together. Have it ready.
Yeah.
Now, pandemic was both the best and the worst thing that ever happened to us as a society. Why? Because it was detrimental for all those who were lost, that we lost in the middle of it. It was detrimental to, everything shutting down, of course. But at the same time, it did what? It forced each and every one of us to realize we cannot rely just on one 9 to 5. Because that 9 to 5 cases got cut short, got cut off, altogether. It completely dried up. So guess what I did? I went back to the very thing that I started 8 years ago. I wrote a children's book. I finished my children's book. I published it. And I finished it in this pandemic. I went back to my clothing line and I finished it. And I put it on a platform like Etsy, or, these, like, basically right now, anybody can be a business. Anybody can have a business. At any level. If you don't have the money, I highly recommend put it on one of these online stores and sell it that way. And then you promote it yourself. The fastest way of getting anything out there is still word of mouth. Believe it or not. So you have the power to speak people, promote, push it out there, talk about it. Have somebody else talk about it. That's right now. If that's your only way of doing it, yes, work with what you have. I think one of the other things we forget, we can also pray to and say, God, look, help me to figure this out.
And he listens.
Yes, he does. Give me wisdom. This much money, but I need this to be done. How do I make that? How do I make this work? And we forget God. We forget God in this. And a lot of times we focus much on our own ability. Okay, I can pay for this. Or I have intellect to do this. Or I have this much experience. And God's sitting up and get like that. I can bring the right person around you. I can put you in the room with the person that can say one thing and don't limit yourself and don't limit God. Everything that is sitting in front of you right now, talking to you in this screen, is a direct contact of trusting God as much and as often as possible. God, how do I do this? God, how do I fix this? What do I need to do now? Trust that.
Yeah.
That.
Yes,
That.
yes, yes, yes. That is so true. I posted it today that everything I've asked God for, everything I've asked God for, He has done way more than what I asked for.
Yeah.
But I had to be patient.
Yes.
I had to work hard. I had to continue to praise Him through even while I was waiting. This
Yes.
house that I'm sitting in, I wanted a smaller house. I had my eyes on this house. I thought they probably wouldn't approve me, so I went for a smaller home. But God came around and He gave me this house through an angel who approved me. I can
Yes.
tell you story after story after story. But I didn't quit. I didn't stop. I kept moving forward. I put my blinders on and I kept saying, God, I still want it. And He's like, it's coming, but just keep your focus where you're going. It's not going to happen overnight. You wrote your book 8 years
Right.
ago, right? And you published it when? Last
That's
year
right.
or this year?
I
So,
published it yeah, this year.
but in
I
the
published it.
meantime, you were still moving forward, right? You
Right.
were still
That's
moving
right.
forward with other things. Your son was battling cancer. You were praying through it. You were still acting. You were still modeling. You were still working on your t-shirt line. This is what I tell people. You build strength as life throws battles at you. That's how you do it. You're going to build strength as life throws battles at you. If you stop to want to recuperate, it doesn't work. You keep going. I'm going to ask you one more
Right.
question, then I'm going to let you go because we've discussed a lot. Guys, this is the last call for questions. If you have any questions, please post them. So we've talked about creativity. We've talked about it, guys. Your creative world is really your purpose work. That's where your happiness will come from. When I was still struggling to see 30 patients, 40 patients a day, and I really wasn't enjoying it, I was aging fast. I was aging fast, but as soon as I started writing and blogging and speaking and doing all these things, it's like I stopped aging. Honestly,
Yes.
I see the difference. It's like I stopped aging because I'm happy from inside. And that's because it's actually my creative skills I'm using. You know, we
Yes.
say burnout, burnout, but people are burning out. Why? Because they're holding on to their non-purpose work. That's what I tell people. There are many doctors who make that mistake.
That's
Many,
right.
many doctors. And it's because of, I believe it's just that, that pedestal we put ourselves on as I'm a doctor, I'm a doctor. Yes, it's a nice title to have, but
Right.
titles don't bring you happiness. Titles don't bring you happiness. Yeah, I'm Dr. Webzel, I'm Dr. IYABO, but honestly, I would rather be called author IYABO because that's where my happiness comes from. Because when I write, that's how I can write those long captions. I wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm writing, writing, writing. I stay up sometimes late writing. And in the morning, I feel refreshed because that is me. The writing is what I love. And I love teaching. So a lot of doctors are burnt out. A lot of lawyers are burnt out because that's their non-purpose work. But they're holding on
Right.
to it for dear life because that's where they think their prestige comes from. Guys, anyway, I'm going to shift gears a little for this last question. I
That's
was a
right.
single Black woman for 10 years in America, and I'm saying this because I really want to help people. I still get a lot of single women. Actually, single women love my platform the most because they're like, oh, she was single for 10 years. She's a Black woman. She found love again. She's married to this English guy. How did she do it? All that. But it was a struggle dating
Yeah.
as a Black woman in Atlanta, Georgia. I think are you in New York or California?
I'm in California and it's just as much
Okay.
of a it's just as much.
So can you touch on that, on dating as a single Black woman in America and what it means to you, and what, just give some advice to some single Black women?
I was like you. My story was I'm actually divorced. I'm divorced.
Yeah, well,
And
I was divorced too. Yeah, yeah,
my
same story. Yeah.
I divorced my son's father, and I've been single now for about 10 or 11 years as well. Um, but I'm glad that I took, and it wasn't, I'm not going to sit here and, oh, it was, you know, no, it was tough. There were some days where I'm like, oh, hi, but God, you know, and then there's some days I'm like, you know, and you know how that is. It's the up and
Oh
down, the
yeah.
emotional.
Yeah.
Some days you don't care, and some days you're like, so but throughout this, I purposely, and I'm glad I did this, I purposely wanted to find out about me. What is it about me that what is it about me that I need to fix? You know, what is it? Because, and some of us, and I had a gentleman teach me that he's a counselor, well, not a counselor, he's like a speaker, R.C. Blake's, and he's like a father to me. I love this man. But he said something really good, and he said, you know, yes, you did the work for your healing outside of your marriage, but once you get married again, you're going to continue to be healing. You're
Yes.
going to keep, your partner is going to be, you know, an essential key to help you to healing, you know?
Yeah.
So a lot of times, if we are facing men, you know, if we're trying to date men, or if there's any men on the platform, if you're dating women and they're not quite working out, well, they're not going to be essential to your healing. Rejection is protected. So if if the relationship isn't working out, or you're finding yourself kind of, okay, one, assess what is it about yourself that keeps attracting the wrong type of person. Two, this
Yes.
person
Yeah.
definitely cannot help you in your further growth, because it doesn't stop just because you got married. It doesn't stop just connected to somebody. You're going to always keep evil. We said this whole conversation just came full circle right there. We're constantly the next level of who you are. So once you connect yourself with the new person, now who are you with this new person? Who am I now? So that's the thing that's you have now. You have that time as you're single now to develop who you are. Because like a relationship is like a pair of shoes. A relationship is like a pair of shoes. It's a pair. And there's two of them. They're together, but they're both individuals. But they are together, but it's two individuals together.
Yeah.
So when you come into that relationship, you are your own individual self. You have your life, your goals, your dreams, your plans, whatever you're doing. And he or she, you know, depending on circumstances, have who they are, what their life goals, dreams, plans are. You bring that together to bring what? A pair of shoes. Like shoes, you bring it as a pair. So keep that in mind as you're in this dating season. Keep this in mind as you're in this waiting period. It's not always easy, so I'm not going to paint that picture like it is. But while you're waiting, perfect yourself. Learn everything you can about what needs to change in your own heart. Who am I now? What do I have to offer to somebody? And one of the biggest things too is women, especially as Black women, we have a tendency, and it comes from society. It comes from society, but we have a tendency to feel that we don't deserve.
Yeah.
That we don't deserve to be loved.
Yeah.
And that could be what's hindering you. Could be what's stopping you. I don't deserve to have a guy that I like, that I'm actually attracted to, you know, and maybe that's attracting the wrong types of guy. Maybe that's why you're attracting, you know, a bad type of guy, because what are you believing about yourself? And sometimes it's just those little fine tuning in your mindset, your thinking, fine tuning how you see yourself for one, or how you see the situation. You know, what is it that you're believing? And take it from there. But first and foremost, work on yourself. This is God's gift to you, to work on you, because the last thing you want, the last thing I want, as Lori Livingston, the last thing I want is to finally meet that right man. Is to finally get into that marriage, and then I have a complex about my own self. Not him, me, have a complex about my own self, where I'm saying to myself, well, I don't really deserve this, or I don't really deserve him, or, you know, how did I get this guy? You know, you don't want to meet that right person, and you're not ready. You're not ready. This is your time to get ready. This is a precious time. It's not always easy, and I will reiterate that, but it's a precious time to you know, cultivate who you are. Everything in life is all about you. If more people were focused on what they were supposed to be, and what they're supposed to be doing, who they're supposed to be, and what they're doing, the world would be better, because everyone's working on themselves instead of looking around, focus on everybody else, you know. But focus on you. This is you. This is my time. I'm going to speak for me. This is my
Yes.
time. This is time. I don't have a biological clock ticking. My son's grown, you know. At this point, he's grown. He's cancer free. So now I'm ready for a relationship. Now I'm ready to meet the right person. You know, am I in a rush? Absolutely not. But when he comes, he's going to get a person who's had time to perfect and change and become, you know, more evolved into who I am. Because I'm not going into a relationship that's selfish. It's not going to go in there and it's all about Lori. I'm going into a relationship where it's about both of us. What do
Wow,
I
Lori,
bring?
that is a gem you just dropped there. That is a gem you just dropped there, that a lot of us, and because we're both Black women, I think we can say it, and hopefully Black women will listen, because if you're going into a relationship, you cannot be selfish.
No.
You have to think about, but this limits, this is what is limiting and stopping a lot of Black women from finding or attracting good men,
Yes.
because like you said, society has molded us into being those self-sufficient women who, like you and I, have been single moms for a long time. I was a single mom for 10 years, and even before then I was mostly the one involved in raising my kids, even when I was married, you know.
Right.
So we've developed this thing that we can do it by ourselves. I don't need him. I don't. We say, like, we give this front like we don't need him, we don't need him, but at the same time we also want to be married. So
Right.
then you're going to have to drop that, you know, I want to say slightly arrogant front,
Yes.
and
Yes.
be a little bit, you know, you have to be giving in a relationship. It's give and take. So yeah, and I really wanted us to discuss, because a lot of women are single and they're not happy, and I know how I was during the 10 years. Like you said, I had my days where I would cry myself to sleep. I had my days where I'm like, I'm fine, I'm loving my single life, who cares? So, but really I knew I didn't
Yes.
want to be alone for the rest of my life. So women, if you want something like Laura, and I had to take 2 years off, I've said my story over and over, because I got into this cycle of dating, looking, is it him, is it him? And it just became so mechanical,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay. And then I went to church, and my pastor gave this what service, and it's like he was talking to me that if you can't find the one, just take time off. And I took time off, and 2 months after I got back on the scene, I met my husband. So women, you know, you have to do that. And there's no selfishness in marriage. Marriage is not single motherhood. It's not. You're going to have to relax, and you're going to have to come into this loving partnership with your husband, right, Lori?
Yes.
I'll let you, yeah, say the finishing words, and then we can end, because
If
I want to respect your time. We've been on for a long time.
it's okay. If I can add to that, women, we as
Yeah.
Black women, I'm going to speak specifically to us as Black women. Um, we as Black women, a lot of times we have to be strong. It's not that we want to be. It's not that we even really may feel that we are. We have to be strong. A lot of times we had to be the one to take care of the kids. Just like you said, I was the same. I had to take care of my son. I mean, it was a privilege, but it was like if it wasn't me doing it, who was going to do it? You know?
Yeah.
Um, you know, so we have to be strong. We're oftentimes put into these postures, these positions of, I have to take care of everything. And it does build up a defense and a toughness, you know, and a strength. And I think that's what other cultures admire about us as Black women is, oh, you're so strong. Well, yeah, because we have to be. We're fighting battles, Black women, that a lot of other cultures really don't relate to or
Yeah.
understand. So you're looking at strength. Now, as Black women, please trust me when I say this. Please open your heart to trust me when I say this. As Black women, there's a time for that. And then there's a time to lay that down. And trust me, nobody was stronger than me. I'm telling you, I was missing. I got it. Do it. Good. That was, yes. You know, I was the queen of independence. I'll let you know it, you know. But I also realized I was pushing people away. It was pushing men away. It was pushing good things away because I got this. I'm strong, you know. I'm a strong Black woman, you know, and I am. But as a strong Black woman, sometimes strength means step down and let somebody help you. Sometimes step back and let somebody else, you know, and I don't mean anybody. You of course be discerning. You don't give yourself to just anybody. But in
Yeah.
this case, I mean if you're looking for a husband, if you're expecting a husband, you will have to take a step back. And it's not like society makes it out to be like, oh well, that's weird, and that's
No.
no, that's literally a team. It's a team. That is, you are a union. This is your partner. This is going to be a person that has your back, and just like you back. That is a team. You work together.
Yes.
So be willing to work on that, and even pray and ask the Lord to show you, God, how do I soften myself up? Life, like, you came this far because you had to be. There is a season where, yes, you will be strong and you have to, put up that armor and everything. But when God brings a mate into your life, you have to be willing to let go of that aspect of you, because that part of you is then over. And now you have a helpmate. You have somebody, you're a helpmate to him, and he will be a helpmate to you. So don't negate that. Don't go into it like, well, yeah, I'm gonna be strong and I got my man. I'm independent. Don't listen to society. It makes me cringe to listen to some of these people in society who are giving advice, or some of these relationships that are giving the advice. It makes me cringe,
Me too.
That's why I love your page. I love your page, because you are giving authentic truth here, I watch you, I'm looking, I'm like, yep, that's right.
Thank you.
Right. Be careful who you, thank you. Be careful who you're allowing to speak to you as far as marriages.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of rebellion out there. There's a lot of this, but they take, oh, well, I'm in. No, that's rebellion, honey. And then you never know what's going on behind closed doors in some of these relationships. That's all I'm going to say. You never know. So, but what did God tell you to do? Of you bring, who is God having you bring into the relationship? And be open. When God sends you that mate, I know this much, because I know some people are like, well, you're divorced, how do you know? Because I was the quintessential wrong case. I was way too young when I got married, way too young. I will tell myself I was way too young, and I had all these same ideologies of how a marriage was supposed to be, and I'm in control, and I'm and it didn't work. It didn't work.
Yes,
it didn't work. So I had no choice but to learn. Okay, mistake. Who do I need to be now? So I'm speaking not only from experience, but I'm also right where you are, where I'm looking, okay, now God's going to bring me a spouse, a husband. I know I can't bring that, who I was in my first marriage, or who I had to be while I was divorced. I can't bring that into this marriage.
No.
It will work. No. We're evolving.
It won't work.
It won't work. We're evolving into who God wants us to be. And God is not going to give you necessarily what you, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. God's going to give you who you need.
Yes.
He's going to give you who you need. And, that doesn't mean you won't be attracted to him. That doesn't mean it's going to be some person that you're just like, oh, why do? It doesn't mean that. You will probably be attracted to him. You probably love them, but he's going to give you who you need. And a lot of times, let's just be ladies. We go after what we want. We get what we want, and then we also get a headache from what we wanted, because it wasn't necessarily what we needed. It was
what we needed.
And I'm guilty of that. I've got a lot of guys that I've dated are just what I wanted, and they were a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. But you have to come to a place of understanding, God, what is it that I need? So be open. Be open. Be open to what God's going to do, because he's going to give you that mate. He's going to send him. But when he does, you have to be ready. You have to be ready for him. And that doesn't mean everything's perfect, but that means you internally have gotten a place where you're like, you know what, God, I'm open to what it is you have for me.
Yes, absolutely. And if it's not working for you now, ladies, take a break. Do what my pastor told me to do that helped me. I took 2 years off. I remember that day he said, if dating isn't working for you, take between 2 to 5 years off. He didn't even say 1 year. He said a minimum of 2 years. And I was diligent and obedient because I felt that was God talking to me. I took exactly 2 years off. And I started dating again end of November, and around beginning of January, I met my husband. So guys, take a break and focus on your creativity, focus on your career, focus on that new business, focus on the cooking, on the blogging, on the writing. You don't always have to be with a man. If you're a single woman, it doesn't mean that you're less than. Take a break and stop going from one relationship to the next. Take a break. Yeah. Take a break to figure out who you really are. Okay. And and find yourself again. Lori, I knew this was going to be like this because we've never spoken like this before. We've been following each other on social media, but I knew who you were. I knew who you were just from reading your posts, looking at you. I knew you were going to be like this, and you even exceeded my expectations. You're so real. You're so authentic. You're beautiful inside and out. I just love you. So can you tell people how can they buy your book, or how can they support your platform, your t-shirts? Please tell us about how we can be a part of your dreams and goals and everything. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you letting me have your platform. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. My book is But Beauty Wasn't Within Me. And it's literally, that's me. That was me when I was a kid. So it's a story about me.
So cute.
Yeah, I drew that. I drew
it
myself.
Really? Wow. Wow.
So yeah, it's a cute little story, and it's on Amazon right now, and it's doing very well. So if you ever want to look, I also have my Instagram page, But Beauty Wasn't Within Me, on Instagram. I also have my clothing line, T-Boy Chic, T-B-O-Y Chic, S-H-I-Q, because it's unique. So that's where I was 8 years ago. So that's how I spelled it that way. But it's Tomboy Chic. And I have my own Instagram page there as well. And literally, I'm on all platforms. YouTube, I'm on TikTok. And I'm on, what's the other one? Twitter. Yeah. I'm on all social media. Always Lori Livingston across the board. I try to keep it pretty unified. So it's always Lori Livingston. So yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to post this on YouTube. So guys, just if you need to watch the replay, it's going to be on my YouTube page. I'll send you the link, of course, Lori, so you can put it on your YouTube as well, and on your Instagram, anywhere it needs to be. So guys, please follow Lori at Lori Livingston. Let some of this wonderful spirit permeate into you, because I've been following her for years, and she has just been a wonderful Instagram friend. And she's also a sister. I feel like she's a sister to me. But we're going to end by reading what Ian Taylor says. Ian Taylor says, women are naturally strong. Black women stronger. The strength they have is in their directness, but the biggest strength is knowing when not to show the strength outwardly. That's true. That's true. Strength comes from humility. That's very, very, very true. Very true. The more humble you are, the stronger you are. I believe that to a T. Thank you, Ian Taylor. That's so true.
Yeah. Send me
Lori,
that. Send me that.
I know. How do I send? Do I just do a screenshot? I guess. Right? I guess I can do it. Yeah, there we go. I have it.
Perform in front of a camera, just not good.
I'll send it to you. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Lori. Thank you so much. Everybody, thanks for joining. Bye. I will see you next week with my next guest. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
God bless
Bye.
you. Bye.
You too. God bless you. Bye-bye.